Did the Conservative Party realise how much trouble they could be in with this?
No, I don't think they do, Nigel. I mean, frankly, I think whoever ends up winning this contest, we can have a lovely month where we debate what their lovely tax plans will be and how many billions we're going to cut and which particular taxes they're going to cut, and enjoy having a sort of little free market think tank fantasy session. But the fact is, the sort of rises in people's bills we're going to be seeing over the next few months, you know, by up to over £4,000 by the early months of next year. The prediction now is that we're going to require an intervention on the level of that was required during the COVID pandemic. I mean, frankly, if people are struggling to pay a £50, £100, £150 increase now, what the hell are they going to do when their bills go up by £1,000?
And this is my point, William, is that it's the 11th of August, and the ballot papers have been out for some time. I presume a lot of people have voted amongst the Conservative Party members. We've had the Chancellor, the Business Secretary, the Prime Minister, the energy bosses in number 10 today. And Boris says, oh, just wait till the next person comes along. They'll have to make the decision. By the time they've put together a budget, people will have bills on their mats that millions can't pay. I mean, electorally, this is catastrophic. Haven't they got to try and do something sooner?
Well, I would say that they should, but the problem is that, you know, we are supporters at Conservative Home of the members having a say over who the next Tory leader is. But frankly, if the Prime Minister is simply going to say, oh, I can't do anything for the next month or so, I'm going to go and play with some jets, rather than actually delivering for the British people, which is what he was, after all, elected to do, and he's going to leave it for his successor, this problem is only going to escalate. And I think, frankly, Liz Truss and Rishi Sunak might enjoy spending a month chucking barbs at each other. But I think probably the first time and only time in my life I will say this, Gordon Brown was onto something when he said they should probably sit down with the Prime Minister and discuss what can be done over the next month.
Yeah, I mean, I have to say the fact that he didn't put any of the problems down to net zero, etc., I didn't applaud. But now on Conservative Home today, Clive Moffat, and he, of course, was formerly chairman of the UK Energy Security Group, has written a piece on Con Home, your site today, saying to prevent the lights going out this winter, the government must take drastic action. And yet I've heard nothing really about supply from today's meeting. One little paragraph about long-term investing in the North Sea. And from Sunak and Truss, again, very, very little. It's been quite a shock to people to learn how much electricity we import from France, Norway. You know, how we are not energy independent in any way at all. I put it to you that actually much of this mess we're in, after 12 years of Tory rule, is there has been a series of governments and ministers who've been reactive to events with no long-term planning, desperate to go green, that's led us to where we are.
Well, look, I entirely agree with you on that, Nigel, especially because I was the one who actually wrote that headline for Clive Moffat's piece earlier, so it kind of sums up my thinking as well.
Right,
yeah,
okay.
Yeah. But no, so we've been a net energy importer for about 18 years. And that obviously takes the tail end of the last Labour government, but the entirety as well of the now we're on to Tory governments that we've had since 2010. And frankly, this government and its predecessors have been just too scared of Tory MPs, of Tory backbenchers, etc., to actually deliver these sort of huge changes in our energy makeup we require. Look, I'm not always the biggest fan of the French, but I would back a sort of big French sort of, Valéry Giscard d'Estaing style push for nuclear, just to try and actually build up our domestic supply as quickly as possible. I think fracking, obviously we should have been doing fracking at least a decade ago.
But it's your party that weren't doing it. Do you believe that either of these two candidates has the strength and the vision to be not just reactive in number 10, but to actually strike out with some bold initiatives?
Well, look, I've met both of them. I've interviewed both of them. I like both of them as people, but I don't think they will be able to. Frankly, if a man with the political talents and all the flaws of Boris Johnson can waste an 80-seat majority, as he has done over the last 3 years, because he was subsumed by events, I imagine with the sort of interest rates, the sort of inflation, with the sort of energy bills we're looking at only in the next few months, these are going to be two potential Tory leaders who will also be overcome by events. And that's why, as I said at the start, you know, we can have a month where they can debate whatever think tank pie-in-the-sky policy they would like to see, but they're not actually going to be able to deliver anything. Leave aside whether they've actually got the legitimacy to do so because it wasn't in the manifesto they were elected on in 2019. They simply won't have the political bandwidth, and we're going to have, and I'm very sorry to all of your viewers to say this, we're going to have another 2 years of government lurching from crisis to crisis until we actually are able to deal with the fundamental flaws in the Whitehall machine and actually try and deliver the fundamental changes in the way this country is governed that we require, that we don't get these endless crises as we're seeing at the moment.
William Atkinson, I can't tell you how refreshing it is to hear a Conservative who realises what an absolute mess the whole thing is.